your fantasy football show. My name is Danny Heifetz, and I'm joined by Danny Kelly and Craig Horlbeck. And today we are proving all the games in Week 10. That sounds really crazy. Week 10 that we're here. Oh my God, time flies.
Double digits.
That's really weird. As always, if you need help with specific starts and questions, our rankings are at fantasyfootball.theringer.com, and we'll update those Sunday mornings. So if you have specific questions about who to
perfect
start,
rankings, I should say.
Perfect rankings.
Perfect every
And
week.
then I also do Twitter Q&A. If you want to ask me your questions on Twitter, I'm Danny_Heifetz. If people DM us on Instagram, will we respond on Sunday? Instagram Ringer Fantasy Football. Will we respond to start sit DMs on Instagram? Or
maybe.
Or no?
Maybe.
Me? I'll do it. Okay. I'll fucking do it. I'll
Heifetz
respond.
is up. He's East Coast.
Okay. I'll respond to some of the Instagram DMs.
I wake up at 9:30, so.
I have a child, so I'm bowing out on that one.
9:30 is what we call 12:30. But yeah, okay. Follow us on Instagram, Ringer Fantasy Football, and TikTok. Gonna get right into Week 10 here with the game of the year. This is the biggest game of the season.
Munchen.
It's in Munich, Germany.
Mm-hmm.
The New York Football Giants, Super Bowl contender at 2-7, are playing the Carolina Panthers. A fellow title contender at 2-7, and that title is the number one pick in the draft. I think it's it's fitting that we actually were like, this game shouldn't even be played on American soil because it's so awful. But Bryce Young's going to be starting for the Panthers over Andy Dalton, so it's the Panthers are allowed the most points per game. Giants have scored the fewest. Craig, where do you see this battle of the Titans? Where are you going to be? Are you excited to wake up at 6:30 Pacific to watch this epic clash?
No, definitely won't. But I do. Maybe I'll catch the second half when things are just like burning to a crisp. But remember, I think it was last year we talked about how there should be basically starting in Week 10 or maybe Week 12, once like certain teams have been mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, they should be plucked into a new league that's like the
toilet bowl. Yeah,
the toilet bowl, like the basically like the Tankathon Bowl. And to me, this is the first week of that in the NFL. Week 10, there are 9 teams in the NFL currently that have exactly 2 wins. 9.
That's crazy.
And 7 of them are tied for the worst record in the league at 2-7. Those teams, this is the current draft order right now. If the season were to end today, these are the top 7 picks in the draft in order. All these teams have the exact same record. Number 1 pick, Patriots, Jags, Saints, Panthers, Browns, Raiders, Giants. So somehow the poor Giants are 2-7 and yet have the 7th pick in the draft right now.
Fuck that. That's so dumb.
It's ridiculous.
I know I'm a broken record. I can't say it enough. The Giants had the 6th pick last year, and they got 4 wins against the teams ahead of them in the draft. Like, if they just didn't beat Washington twice, they probably would have Jaden Daniels right now. Like, I cannot say that enough. And so I think every year, I think that's the misunderstanding with the concept of like tanking in the NFL, because one, front offices tank, the teams can't. But also, winning like 1 or 2 games, one win in December changes everything. And so it's not hyperbole. Like, the Giants are going to win this game. They're going to beat the Panthers, and it's going to cost them the inside track at the quarterback of their preference. It's going to happen. All those things, I fucking guarantee it. Like, they're going to win this game, and then I'm going to probably be like, oh, well, no, this one I'm going to be pissed if they win. But like, we're going to be doing the whole draft show the whole time, and we're going to be like, yeah, the Panthers are in position to replace Bryce Young for whoever, because that's how the Giants got the 9th pick. It's like every year we look at this. The Raiders don't have Michael Penix Jr., who they wanted, because they beat Mahomes in that Christmas Day game that they were so happy about. Like, lose football games. You know what? I fucking hate this sport.
I could see the Panthers winning this game.
They're not gonna.
I could see it.
But I would be happy.
Their vibes have changed. Their vibes have turned around a little bit.
I think the Giants' pass rush is going to destroy Bryce Young.
I actually think Bryce played quietly. Bryce Young played. I thought that was the best game of the season by a lot. It's a low bar, but I think Bryce played actually kind of like more confidence, more joie de vivre, like more Alabama Bryce, where he was actually making throws and putting
smiled.
Stuff. He smiled. He did smile a lot in Alabama. He hasn't smiled a lot recently, but like, his best throw was actually the one that in Xavier Leggett's hands that got intercepted. But I think, to your point, Craig, the Giants' biggest weakness is their offensive line, but that's the Panthers' biggest weakness is their defensive line. So, that's a pathetic wash. But yeah, I think the Giants' defense, frankly, is going to overwhelm them. And then Germany, there's always like turnovers. That's why I think the Giants' defense is fine for fantasy. Like, they're always weird games. But
I'm calling it Panthers W.
Okay. I'm starting the Giants defense this week, so.
I just went on Bill Simmons' pod and I made a passionate plea for Giants teasing with the Eagles. And so maybe DK's right. But no, because I'll be happy if they lose. Other just the 1 p.m. Eastern games. God, Patriots I'm just so mad at all these teams who got quarterbacks instead of the Giants. The New England Patriots are playing the Bears or at Chicago this week. DK, this is really just like a status update on like Caleb Williams halfway through his rookie year, Drake May halfway, a quarter of the way, depending when you count, through his rookie year. Let's start with Caleb. Where are you at just on how Caleb is playing right now and how he looks as a prospect?
Bad. He's been bad. He's been playing very bad, very poorly. Right now, at least the last 2 weeks, the regression is pretty concerning because the two teams that he went up against over the last 2 weeks are Arizona and Washington. I think Washington's defense might be better than people thought, but I mean, he should have had a little bit more success against those two teams. I think he's got, in those two games, 49% completion, 174 passing yards a game, 31% success rate, which is atrocious, 65 passer rating, no touchdowns, no interceptions, 9 sacks, a lost fumble. Very hard to find positives about how he's played the last couple of games. And I think some of the stuff that's was talked about a lot in the pre-draft process has definitely been an issue, like getting rid of the ball on time. He doesn't do that very often. He's running around. There's weird vibes with DJ Moore. Did you guys see this play that happened in the last game with DJ Moore?
Yeah, he was like, he hurt his ankle and then he walked off the field and we weren't sure if he was hurt, so he walked off. My interpretation was that he like thought he had been out of bounds, so he left the field because he was hurt. And then if you're out of bounds, it's a flag if you catch the ball, so you just leave the field. Or do you think it was
It was so weird, though.
I've watched it like it's the Zapruder film. I've watched that thing like 15 times, and I think he was
just like, fuck this.
I think he hobbled. I think he like looked a little gimpy for a second there, and he decided to like. I still think the vibes were bad. I don't know if it's the out of bounds thing. Like he knew he couldn't come back in.
No, I don't think he was out of bounds beforehand.
No, I think he like tweaked his ankle and then said "fuck it" because Caleb was running the other way.
That's probably a more political.
But he went and sat down, which is like really weird.
My take on it, watching it, like I didn't watch it a bunch of times, Craig, but I watched it like twice. He saw Caleb spinning and he was just like, "Oh, come on,
like, this guy's on bullshitting."
Like I actually think he like hates Caleb. That's
my
new theory.
I will say he came back on the field and made a catch right after it. And Craig, what do you make of Caleb?
You don't leave in the middle of a play. You don't go to the sideline and sit down.
Generally, no. That's generally don't.
I think thought it was weird.
Look, George Pickens gets a bad rap for how like his body language. I think DJ Moore is sneaky one of the most expressive body language players in the league. And it's been really bad this year. And I can't tell with Caleb if it's like a little bit chicken or the egg, where it's like we all thought the supporting cast and everything in this offense was like going to be good. And I remember we were going through all of the number one overall picks and what their situations were, and his was by far the best. But it's like the Arrested Development house where it like looks good, but the second you like try to open a door, or, like close a cabinet, everything collapses.
Yeah.
Where, the offense is just like, the offensive line sucks. Waldron is not doing anything. The receivers have been so bad. Looking at the last 4 weeks, DJ Moore last 4 weeks in fantasy, it's pretty much been a disaster like across the board, except maybe DeAndre Swift. In fantasy, last 4 weeks, DJ Moore is the wide receiver 90 in points per game. Keenan Allen, wide receiver 33. Rome Odunze, wide receiver 48. And like, I don't think DJ Moore is playing as hard as he should be playing. And they're playing the Pats this week, who don't generate pressure, which is like the biggest thing that bothers Caleb. So hopefully, if it's going to happen, it needs to be now. It needs to be this week. They're at home. They're 4-4. But I can't tell if I'm like, is it all on Caleb or is the offense a mess? DJ Moore hates his quarterback. The offensive line stinks. It's a weird team right now.
Did you guys remember? I feel like I was on this a little earlier than everyone else. You remember I think it was like week 1 or 2, DJ Moore on a key third down, like late in the game when they were, I think, still within striking distance, just like didn't play one of the snaps. I was just like, what are you doing?
He's like jogging on some of his routes.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
Here's my thing, though. To the earlier point about Caleb, though, I think Caleb's playing all right. I agree that there are moments where his accuracy is like a little off, but I'm like, man,
that's been the big thing.
The scrambling is unbelievable. He's a different kind of scrambler than Jaden Daniels. I think Caleb actually has a lot in common with Kyler Murray, but like the crazy the ability we always talk about these BOGO quarterbacks, right? You call one play in the huddle and you get one for free when they break free. Now you got it. Good luck. Now you got to tackle Lamar as he's doing another one. You get 2. Caleb's doing 2, and like sometimes he's getting a third play. Like that play where Moore walked off, it was like he created a whole nother one. And like, I don't know. He's keeping his eyes downfield. I feel like the margins that he's missing by are so small that I don't know. I feel like he's creating so much magic that I'd have to see like 4 quarters of Caleb Williams completing the passes on these because everything's like just out of reach. Rome Odunze's dropping stuff for Rome Odunze. It's off by a foot here. It's Keenan Allen. It's low by a foot here. And I'm like, I don't know. I feel like Caleb's much closer than it's being made out to be.
It's hard because he's making magic, but he's like also forcing himself to make magic. Like it doesn't feel like he's doing anything in structure.
Well, I think that the larger question with the Chicago Bears and my concern with the Bears is I don't trust this organization from the tippity top down. Like the Bears ownership situation, or the daughter of the guy who bought the team is like, she's 100 years old. And obviously, she's going to pass soon. And like, it's a disaster.
Should she be on my podcast?
Oh yeah. We're going to bring her on. Someone figure out what to call it.
Last take. We got a tweet or an email or was a tweet. Whoever sent that.
It's a tweet. Yeah.
We'll have
incredible idea.
The pod will be called The Last Take, which is incredible.
So we'll bring her on.
And Skip Bayless can go on that, ironically. That works.
Oh, that's
Skip got hacked, guys.
But there's the ownership situation's a mess because as soon as she passes, they're gonna have to sell the team for basically because there's like 12 kids and they can't consolidate. So they're gonna have to sell. So like the whole team, there's a very tenuous relationship of who's in charge of the Bears. And then so the Ryan Poles is the GM and he's gonna get credit forever because he got the Caleb trade. But here's the deal. I think the indictment of this team is the Keenan Allen trade. Because they let Darnell Mooney walk because he was going to make $13 million a year. And they paid a fourth rounder to get Keenan Allen in for $18 million a year. So you paid $5 million more to get a player who was 5 years older, gave up a fourth rounder in the process. Darnell Mooney is 27, having the time of his life in Atlanta, looks rejuvenated, which suggests to me they don't know how to evaluate their own talent internally, which is really bad for a team that needs interior offensive line and interior defensive line because they can't block, they can't stop blitzes, and they cannot stop the run. The Cardinals ran it down their throat like a high school football team when they called 10 runs in a row. And so frankly, I think the biggest issue is I don't trust Chicago to identify talent and put people in the best position to succeed. Because it's not good that Darnell Mooney never had 900 yards and then went to Atlanta and is immediately just crushing it. So anyway, I think the organization is my concern, not Caleb. We should move on.
That's fair.
Bills are at the Colts this week. I feel like this is like Josh Allen versus the team that was trying to recreate the Josh Allen in a lab, and it's not going great.
He's not even playing, in fact.
Yeah.
He's benched.
This is annoying. They need to play him. This is stupid. That's my take. This is dumb.
My take is you have to throw last
stupid.
week out. The Vikings defense is not a representative thing for anyone like Joe Flacco, Richardson. I don't know. Overall, I still think of I don't watch Survivor, but my old roommates did. And my friend described to me, I was like, why does everyone hate this guy? He seems fine. And my friend was like, there's 23 hours a day that they're with him. Right. But they're together 24 hours a day. You're seeing an hour a week. You have to trust the vibes. And I'm like, if they're benching Richardson, part of me is like, I feel like they think he needs to be benched.
They're averaging more yards per play with Richardson than Flacco this year.
Is that right?
5.8 with Anthony Richardson, 5.0 with Flacco.
Wow. It doesn't feel that way.
And they're also running the ball way better with Richardson. Jonathan Taylor's like a completely different player when Anthony Richardson is on the field. I don't know. I thought, did you guys see that? Did you guys see Kevin O'Connell, the Vikings head coach, talk to Anthony Richardson after the game?
Yeah.
He just seems like a great coach. O'Connell just seems like a really smooth talker and a guy that you can really be motivated by. But he was basically saying just I believe in you. You're a stud. You're a star. You're going to be in this league for a long time. Steichen feels that way. The Colts organization feels that way. Keep grinding.
Yeah.
I know that's probably mostly just coach speaking, O'Connell being a good guy, but it made me like O'Connell a lot and made me understand why this Vikings team consistently overperforms every year.
And O'Connell, that's what he said about Sam Darnold before the season, because again, Darnold went to Adam Gase and the Jets, and then he was with the Panthers and Matt Rule and everything disastrous there. And they asked Kevin O'Connell about Darnold. And I love Kevin O'Connell's answer. I'm going to steal it for the rest of my career, which is organizations fail young quarterbacks before young quarterbacks fail organizations.
Yeah.
That it just seems obviously true. And I think that this is, to me, is just proof that that's not coach speak. That's him internalizing it. I mean, on that note, the Vikings, they're 6-2. They're at the Jacksonville Jaguars this week. Another guy, Trevor Lawrence, he's unlikely to play this week. They have an upper body injury. We're recording this 4:00 p.m. on Thursday before Thursday Night Football. We don't have a ton of information on this, but it
doesn't sound great. It sounds like he could miss the rest of the year.
Trevor Lawrence might get surgery, but we don't even seem to know the body part that he's dealing with sure.
It's his shoulder, right? Non-throwing shoulder.
Is it? Yeah.
Jay Gruden tweeted the other day, or today maybe, that he's like, oh, I'm sorry to hear Trevor Lawrence is getting surgery. He's going to be out for the rest of the year.
What?
And then Ian Rappaport was
And
like,
then
no
Ian
surgery
Rappaport
scheduled.
he kind of like corrected him.
Well, I mean, maybe this conversation will age like milk, but I couldn't tell if no surgery scheduled meant no surgery or no surgery scheduled, like literal doctor. And I'm like, okay.
Gruden's tweet says, sources say surgery for Trevor. Damn. Get well, man.
Yeah.
Hope sources are wrong.
Craig, do it in the Gruden voice, because Jay sounds exactly like John Gruden.
Sources say surgery for Trevor Lawrence? Damn.
Get well.
I like this guy, Mac Jones.
I like him.
Mac Jones versus the Minnesota Vikings.
He like says things like sharply. He's like, I like this guy.
Yeah. Everything's got like, everything's just like just sharp.
It's like, when you like snap a towel?
Yeah.
That's like how Gruden speaks.
100%. Yeah.
I like this guy,
That's
Mac
a very
Jones.
evocative like way to say that. Yeah.
Dude, he should snap a towel when he does a who.
I like this guy.
3.8 yards with Anthony Richardson. Like he just like it's so tight.
Yeah.
Whenever he says the who, I think of like in Troy when Brad Pitt's like Achilles and he's giving a speech to all the men. He's like, you are with me. We are lions. And they're like, who? I just want like 20 John Grudens. You know what I mean? And I'll do the who. Anyway, I think Mac Jones should take out an insurance policy to face the Brian Flores Vikings defense. I'm like, concerned.
This sucks for Mac Jones, man.
R.I.P.
Here's your opportunity to rebuild your career.
Go
face the Vikings.
There's a lot of games this week. I feel like now that we're in week 10, when we were in like week 6 doing the Costanza, it was still a lot of like, this team has a bad record, but we don't know if they're bad. We know now like which teams are terrible. Like we are officially in dumpster fire season. So I feel like there's a lot of games now where it's like, all right, Vikings, Jags. It's like, all right,
The other one, the Broncos are at the Chiefs this week. Chiefs are undefeated. Patrick Mahomes is 12-1 versus Denver, which is just another one of those. Just in his career, it's 12-1. Another just casual, like incredible Mahomes stat.
Dominating.
And I know we talked about this earlier this week. I don't care. I can't get over that. Like the defining aspect of the Chiefs wide receivers for 2 years has been they can't fucking catch. It has been just the absolute plague of their offense from the beginning of the 2022 season with Detroit, and that like
MVS,
Tony, who's notoriously cannot catch.
Cole Hardman
cannot catch a punt. Never mind a pass.
Everything.
Sky Moore literally can't catch.
Can't catch.
Kadarius Toney had 2 drops that like cost them the game in week 1. Yeah.
Well,
Justin Watson, love him, but like
won the Super Bowl for them, but yeah.
Well, but like DeAndre Hopkins, my favorite fact about DeAndre
Xavier
Hopkins.
Worthy can't get in bounds.
No, Worthy. Oh my God.
Dude, that was the worst awareness I've ever seen by a wide receiver on the sideline.
That was an ick.
That was an ick.
It's an ick. Hopkins used to catch flies when he was a kid, like Karate Kid. Like he would catch flies when he was a child.
Such a good origin story.
I feel like we actually still, even after Monday Night Football, are underrating what it's going to be like to watch Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes has not had a wide receiver who is even a C- at catching footballs in
at
3
receiving
years.
A ball.
Yeah, they can't receive it. And like Hopkins is an A+ at catching a football.
Have you seen Hopkins' hands? I know
They're
this is
huge.
like a talked about.
Dude, when he did that
thing.
Hail Mary, and firstly, he talks in first person, but he doesn't say me, he says I. So like he's like,
Can I
had
an example.
So he was like, fuck, I'm trying to remember the press conference where he was like, he's like, better catch by eye. That's how he described him.
Oh, really?
Better catch by eye.
Huh.
Okay.
I'm like, that's so sick. Cool.
Is it? I don't know if that's cool.
I don't know the way he said it though. I
feel like it'd be cooler if he was like, better catch by DeAndre. Saying I, it's like,
I don't know.
It just sounds grammatically incorrect. It doesn't sound like cool.
Right. Anyway. All right.
Anyway.
Broncos defense looks good, but yeah, we can move on from this puppy. I think you were right.
Is there a Costanza potential with this game or no?
Oh,
12-1
they got blown up by
Denver.
Ravens. Yeah, this could be Costanza.
How healthy is Mahomes?
I think he'd be
is
fine.
my question.
I gotta say,
the ankle on Monday Night Football where he like limped off and then came back immediately.
Yeah,
ever since I watched Quarterback, that Netflix show, and it showed like how Mahomes preps his body during the offseason and during the season, where he's like all about mobility, and he almost like bends his limbs in awkward directions in preparation for getting tackled that way.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
So he will half snap his leg and hold it there for a while to basically create like tissue strength in that area so that when his leg bends awkwardly, his body is familiar with that and can recover from that. It's why every time Mahomes gets hurt, like I thought that leg injury last week looked bad. In my head, I was like, he could have fucking strained his MCL right there and he's out for 4 weeks. He came back, 10 minutes later.
Well, honestly, that looked like every ankle sprain I've ever had where I was like, guys, I'm dying. Take me to the hospital. 5 minutes later, I'm like, I'm okay.
I thought it was a knee hyperextension, to be honest.
Maybe.
I thought he like had that awkward plant thing, like a little bit like what Tony did. And I was like, oh, this could be weird. And he was right back.
To your point, though, I think Mahomes gets compared to Steph Curry a lot, rightfully so, because of, frankly, the influence he had on like an entire generation and for a lot of reasons. But I think the other thing he has in common with Steph is like, he's
his
taking
body
like
preparation.
Trading body preparation to another level in a way that people don't really, Steph has the best cardio in the NBA. And to your point,
they just beat the Celtics, by the way. Great game.
Yeah, that was crazy. And like there's a video, I can retweet it. There's a video.
DK loves when I talk about the Warriors.
DK, no. We should rank topics DK hates.
What I love specifically is you only tweet about the Warriors.
That's so not true anymore. That was like 1 year when we won the title, I think.
It's not anymore. It's
That's
true.
like 20.
It's like Craig, who hosts like a very popular movie podcast and a fantasy football podcast. The only thing he's tweeting about is the Warriors. I just love that.
My passion.
Someone had an idea that we should have a Warriors jar. And Craig has to put in $1 every time that he mentions Warriors, and then like at the end of the season,
it's like the Simmons and the Celtics, yeah.
It's from New Girl. It's like the
douche jar.
The douche jar, yeah. We all should have a jar. What is each of our jar topics?
Oh yeah, good call.
I'm mispronouncing a word.
Like his cat. It's his cat.
Oh yeah, it's my cat.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Cat jar, Warriors jar. DK's is what? His quesadillas. No,
people love the quesadillas.
No, it's DK's not getting something not getting something about SpongeBob or something.
The boomer jar?
Maybe it's like me not paying attention and repeating what Heifetz said.
When I read a stat and the DK just reads the stat back to me.
I was reading something. Sorry. I should be
like Inception, which is actually super easy and happens to anyone who's ever on their phone listening to someone.
I read a really great article about Inception and how ridiculous it was that in Cillian Murphy's fantasies, like when he dreams at night, there's like zero sex dreams. Like he just never dreams about a woman or anything. Like all he dreams about is grandfather. Is his grandfather like loving him?
But also, Christopher Nolan's movies are like totally sexless. They're like the Avengers almost. Like there's just no one has
even the sex scenes in Oppenheimer were like the most cold and stale.
They were the least sexy sex scenes in the history. Oh my god.
Yeah.
They had to figure out a way to get the whole "I am death" or what is it? What is it?
I am become death.
I am become death. Yeah, they had to get that in there somehow.
All right, Niners are at the Buccaneers this week.
The reports are that McCaffrey is not hurting, which I didn't like the way that was phrased, but feels weird to say
because he hasn't played any football.
Sounds like something you'd say when you're hurting.
Yes. Don't edit this to say I'm hurting.
Did you see somebody asked Shanahan how much he's going to play, and they were like, "Yeah, what's his workload going to be like? Is he going to come back in and like get a full complement of carries, or is it going to be more like?" And Shanahan essentially was like, "Yeah, it could be a lot of carries, or it could be only a few." We're like,
to be honest, he should say that. Like, what is he going to say?
I know.
I do think, though, if you're in fantasy, I obviously think you're starting Christian McCaffrey. That's a no-brainer. You're not going to wait. You haven't waited 10 weeks to not play him. I think the Niners have trouble not playing their guys a lot and giving the ball to their guys, like when they're on the field. So I do. It feels to me like if I had to bet, if there's two options, McCaffrey has 20 plus carries or under 8, I think he would have 20 plus carries.
I actually agree with that. It's not like I'd be surprised if they ramped him up, but I'm like the conservativeness was waiting 10 weeks to play him. Yeah. I think that now that he's out there, they're kind of like, all right, buddy, let's go.
He's a kind of an all or nothing guy too.
Yeah.
Like I don't think he's gonna push hard, I think, to be the bell cow.
Yeah, they're all psychos.
I think this game from the Buccaneers point of view is pretty interesting. Right now, the Buccaneers are, what are they, 4-5? Second place in the division. They're still chasing after the Falcons. This is like the last tough game on their schedule, or at least the last really tough game. If you look at the rest of their schedule, so if they come out of this game 5-5, the rest of their schedule is at Giants, at Panthers, versus the Raiders at home, at the Chargers, which could be a tough game, at the Cowboys, versus the Panthers, versus the Saints. Like, this is actually one of the hardest games left on their schedule, and I kind of feel like even though they're really banged up, they could really like finish the season strong and get like 10, 11, 12 wins.
Yeah, and their bye week couldn't have come at a better time because it's next week. And I think there's a chance that Mike Evans is back in week 12 because he got hurt in week 7.
Yeah.
So I agree with you.
So I don't know. The Buccaneers are sneaky. I don't know. I think they're sneaky good, and then they could like really establish themselves in this NFC because they have such a light schedule down the stretch. If they could win this game, this is like low-key a pretty important game for them because they could really just kind of coast the rest of the season against these bad teams.
I think lost in like everything that's gone on the last week was like that the Bucs, and I'm not talking about anything political. I'm literally just like the Monday night games, the Chiefs winning and the DeAndre Hopkins thing, I think overshadowed that the Bucs were just like in that game.
Yeah.
The Bucs have been overshadowed for 10 years. If Mike Evans played for the Jets, he'd be a Hall of Famer. And if Levante David, the middle linebacker for the Jets, for the Bucs, played for the Jets, he would be a Hall of Famer. But instead, like, just the Bucs are constantly overlooked.
I kind of like watching the Bucs. I think they're a fun team to watch.
Baker's such a fun story.
Yeah.
The Steelers are at the Commanders this week, and this is probably the real game of the week. I don't know the real game of the year. But I think it's going to be really cool to watch Jaden Daniels like play Pittsburgh.
Totally. Commanders, they're a favorite. They're favored by 3. They are 5-0 against the spread as a favorite. This is fun. These are two teams that are obviously like outperforming expectations. Both these teams are going for it. They made moves at the deadline. If I had to pick a team that I felt like was more fraudulent, I'd probably pick Pittsburgh. I'm still a little dubious about the Russell Wilson thing, but this is like a real classic immovable object, unstoppable force. Steelers giving up the second least points per game in the league. Commanders scoring the third most points per game in the league. One stat I was looking at that I think this game's going to come down to the red zone. The Steelers can't score in the red zone, and the Commanders actually haven't been great at it either. Both these teams are bottom 7 in red zone conversion. Do you know these two teams lead the league in field goals? Steelers and Commanders.
That's interesting.
They both won a game this year without scoring any touchdowns. They both, like the Commanders won that game against the Giants without a touchdown in week 2, and then the Steelers did it the next week with Chris Boswell.
It's just gonna if they can get whoever can get in the end zone when they're in the red zone is going to win this game. And the Steelers stink at it, and they have the most field goals in the league. Mike Williams in this game. I don't know if that helps a little bit, but
is he going to play a lot? Do you think, or they probably just like bring him along slowly?
To be honest, I'm like, it's not like the offense is so intricate. Like,
go run up the sideline.
Go run deep.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Unlike Aaron Rodgers, Russ is just going to pull trig. He's not. There's not as much nuance.
It's just Pickens and Mike Williams doing moonballs together. They're like the disgusting brothers
doing moonballs together.
The disgusting.
They need like, are they the Moon Bros? And if it works out, they need a nickname. The two of them.
The Moon Bros.
Email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com if you got a
Moonballers. I don't know.
Oh, the Moonballers.
We can do better than that.
I know
they don't deserve Moonballers. Is kind of cool. I think like Moonballers is. I got to think about that. Falcons are at the Saints this week. This isn't the greatest game in the world, but I feel like just a quick weird thing. The Falcons, if they win this game, will be 5-0 in their division, the NFC South. Just 5-0 in 10 weeks. Just for context, the Bears and the Steelers have not even played a divisional game yet in the NFL calendar. And yet the Falcons could be 5-0 out of their 6 division games halfway through the season, which I just think it's weird how it works sometimes.
The Falcons are like when you build a 5-leg parlay that you can't think like that you think is like surefire, and then the first leg misses and you're like, I'm an idiot. But it's like it worked out. Like I feel like there were so many risky bets starting the season with the Falcons.
Yeah.
And it was one of those crazy bets that like actually is panning out, and like everything is kind of working right now. That was a really shaky analogy, but it makes sense in my head.
No, I know what you're saying though, because I said that was why I was a little bit worried about.
It's like a parlay that hit.
Yeah,
well, it's like a parlay that you thought you were going to lose immediately, but then you actually are going to pull. It's like
we've seen this like a million. It's like you've made hundreds of these parlays, and this one actually worked.
Yeah, because I mean, Kirk Cousins has played way better and like looks physically better than he was before the Achilles recovery. Like, I mean, Bijan is playing way better in October than September. Darnell Mooney, again, as I was saying earlier, like Darnell Mooney is a fantastic.
Yeah, they're 2 top 10 wide receiver picks, or they're top 10 pass catcher picks, like Pitts and London, after like 3 years of kind of being stagnant or kind of playing well, and it's like kind of working out. Just like a lot of stuff is all clicking right now.
Well, yeah, because that was like I was worried a little bit about Cousins coming into the season because he's coming off injury. He's old. He's playing in a new offense with a new offensive coordinator with new receivers that he's never played with before. There's just a lot of moving parts here, like you said, Craig. So the fact that it's like in week 1, it looked terrible. And I was like, oh, maybe it's even worse than I thought. But then like pretty much immediately they turned things around, and they've been pretty good since that terrible week 1 showing. And so, yeah, credit to them for like getting everybody on the same page. It's like, this is the type of thing where it makes you mad when you're like one team is just like consistently bad for like 2 or 3 years. It's like, if they can turn things around so dramatically after 1 week to the next, like what is taking all these other teams so long to like figure it out? Obviously they have a lot of talent, but still.
The flip side is the Saints in this game. They went from having Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed at receiver to now they have Mason Tipton, Cedric Wilson Jr., Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and Jermaine Jackson, which I didn't know Jermaine Jackson was an NFL player and don't know who that person is.
The Saints went from having it was the most points in a 3-game stretch ever to now having the 3rd pick in the draft.
Yeah, it's not great, Bob.
Did you guys see this story about Kendre Miller? Do you remember
this was nuts. Is this real? I was scanning Twitter and I was like, there's no way that's real. And I
started this out as a bit because like Dennis Allen was just really mean to Kendre Miller for no reason in all these press conferences throughout the season. And then it's come out, Ross Jackson from LouisianaSports.net wrote a story this week that basically Dennis Allen, right before he got fired, put Kendre Miller on the injured reserve, even though the rest of the coaching staff was like, this was a very minor tweak of his hamstring, which he's been nursing all season. So I guess like they were like, we just want to have him out 1 week, get him back for week 10. Like that would be this week. And then like, according to the story, it was like all gas, no brakes. Like we're just going to like have Kendre Miller go off. And Dennis Allen put him on IR essentially because he thought he would just get hurt again.
So he like soup Nazi banned him.
Yeah. So apparently, if all the other coaches think that, then the training staff was like, it'll be a week. And then Dennis Allen's like, fuck that. He's going to injury reserve, which once again,
he's like, I don't trust this fucking guy, which is basically what he's been saying at all the pressers.
It's how I feel about T. Higgins every time he plays.
Dude,
I don't trust
honestly.
He's like, get him out of my sight. I don't want to see this fucking guy for next month.
Another notch in the belt for when DK and I first started doing this show, we would like go way out of I would go out of my way to be like, fantasy football is nothing like the NFL. These guys. And now I'm like, the more I do this, and I'm like, dude, what is more relatable to a fantasy football like manager than that? They're like, God, I'm sick of this guy. I'm fucking cutting him.
Yeah, I just don't even want to think about this guy anymore.
Like he did the Siberia, Dark Knight Rises, like death or exile. That's just like absolutely insane.
Also, by the way, I don't know if you guys have heard Darren Rizzler. What's his real name?
Rizzy.
It's the Rizzler. The Rizzler. That's who the Rizzler is.
He's got like a RFK Jr. voice. He's got a deep, raspy ass voice. Craig, you got to listen to it because I want to hear some impressions pretty soon here.
Hold on. No way. He sounds.
There was a presser. I saw a clip from the presser going around today where he was talking about how they're implementing this new mandatory activation period, quote unquote activation period at the beginning of each practice, which is he even says it's like a fancy word for warming up. They're warming up now, which was not something that they did under Dennis Allen. Like
dude, I can't stress how much players hated him.
They just expected all the players to be warm once practice started or whatever.
So I can't. Was it Cam Jordan? There was somebody on a podcast that said like the vibes have completely shifted in the Saints locker room.
Everyone hated Dennis Allen.
He doesn't sound quite like RFK Jr. That just has a raspy voice. RFK Jr. is like
I don't know. It's like if RFK Jr. is like a 10 on the raspiness, I would say Rizzler is like a 7 maybe.
RFK sounds like a card is in the spokes of a bike.
Dude, my favorite was RFK Jr. sounds like a car without the catalytic converter.
Anyway, Craig, you got to hear it.
All right. Late slate here. There's only 3 games. I think that they had Eagles. Sometimes the NFL, like the reason they have like 8 1 o'clocks and like 3 in the afternoons, they're trying to like artificially create a primetime window again in the late slate.
Right.
And I think Cowboys Eagles as an example. Sometimes they think that game will be better than it actually is. The Eagles are favored by 7.5 points. I feel like this game honestly should be like an 11-point spread. I don't know what I'm missing. I feel like the Eagles are going to destroy Dallas. I think that this is going to be like a real like low point of the Dallas season. And then I know that's saying something. So first of all, Dak Prescott's out. Seems like he's going to go on injured reserve.
Yeah, doesn't sound good.
Pulling off from Jane Slater reported this. Sources tell me the initial diagnosis for Dak Prescott is a partial avulsion of the hamstring tendon, which is partially torn off the bone. First of all, Craig's thing is the calf. Mine is anytime anything was torn off the bone, I'm out.
That sounds bad.
Don't describe I don't want a player whose injuries are being described like they're like a brisket.
It just falls.
It just fell off the bone.
It's like, that's horrific. Oh my God. Literally, Dak Prescott's cooked. But anyway, so Jane Slater. Yeah, slow cooked. Jaden Slater said, I'm told the injury takes more than a 4-week recovery. In some cases, they let it scar over, repair, and then strengthen. And with that being said, Dak Prescott's looking at other options because he wants an opinion from someone that will tell him something other than it got torn off the bone and he needs to like let it scar, just have surgery. I don't know. I that's a whole other conversation. But I feel like looking at this game, but I think a stat to just kind of sum up how much they need Dak Prescott. 76% of Dallas's yards are Dak Prescott passing yards. That is the highest rate in the NFL. I got that Rich Rebar Sharp Football. There's no team that depends on passing yards to move the ball more than Dallas. Now, Dak Prescott's hurt. Cooper Rush is starting. CeeDee Lamb, we'll see if he plays, but he has a shoulder. It seemed like he separated his shoulder.
I was just looking
but he's a ton of pain. Anytime he goes to the ground, that thing could pop out. Like CeeDee Lamb could come out of this game at any point.
And thing could pop out.
And Mike, well, it's true. Like you saw, he got glanced in the end zone. He came back in. He doubled over in pain. Micah Parsons might come back, but I don't know. Fundamentally, the Cowboys have the worst rushing defense in the entire NFL. They have no defensive tackles, no linebackers. They can't tackle. All the Eagles do is run up the middle. Like I think the Hurts Saquon. I think Saquon's going to have 80 yards and a touchdown by halftime. I don't understand how this line's only 7 points because I think the Eagles are going to cover the spread by halftime. I swear to God.
Maybe it's just because it's a divisional matchup and divisional matchups are weird historically. I don't know. But I agree with you. This feels like a massive blowout. Jalen Hurts has been playing insanely well over the last month. I remember at some point in the season, there was a lot of talk like Jalen Hurts is just so limited. He can't run an offense because he can only do a few things. But I think the counter to that would be like the things he can do, he does really well. He's really good at as a runner. And he's really good throwing deep down the ball or down the field right now. And that's kind of like their offense. It operates around those two things. It's like a very Russell Wilson-esque type of deal. And in the last 4 weeks, Jalen Hurts, number one fantasy quarterback, 27 points per game. He has 12 total touchdowns, 6 passing, 6 rushing, which is tied for most among quarterbacks in that stretch. 10.2 yards per attempt, which is second only to Lamar. Like he's been absolutely nails the last month. And so he could have another big game here.
I think a big reason why is A.J. Brown was back. And I think that similar to Nico Collins or C.J. Stroud, Hurts is basically a completely different quarterback when A.J. Brown's on the field. He basically, looking at the numbers, throws like 3 times the amount of touchdowns when A.J. Brown is in the game. So and A.J. Brown hurt his knee and left the game, but it looks like he's been practicing this week and he will play, it seems.
Yeah.
A.J. Brown is such a game changer. It's not even funny.
Devontae Smith is awesome too. So
the Eagles just pissed me off.
And they get Goddard back, I think, this week.
Yeah, he's back. Yeah.
I hate the Eagles. The Eagles infuriate me. It's so annoying that Devontae Smith is like their number 2 receiver. And he's like the best college receiver I've ever played football. I've ever seen. Anyway, fuck them. Next up, Jets are at the Cardinals this week. DK, what do you make of this Jets-Cardinals game?
I don't know. The Jets are always interesting to me. I think from a fantasy point of view, it's nice that they're going to be much more of a funnel offense now with Mike Williams gone. It's just going to be basically Devontae, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall. Hopefully.
And Lazard is hurt.
Yeah, and Lazard, I think, is on IR now.
The sneaky part of them trading away Mike Williams, who, banished to the shadow realm anyway because Rodgers hated him. If anything happens to Devontae and Garrett Wilson...
Incredibly thin wide receiver room.
It's Xavier Gibson... And then it's going to be Malachi Corley, who didn't even get a touch until like 2 weeks ago. And he's the guy who Deshaun Jackson the ball at the 1 yard line, which we never even talked about that. He left the ball at the 1 yard line. That was like his first career touchdown. And he left it at the 1. And like that dude is going to have to play for this team like a lot if anything happens to Devontae Wilson down the stretch.
Yeah. And then on the other side of the ball, I'll get your guys' opinion on this because I think before last week, I was kind of just like the Cardinals are the Cardinals. They'll end up being pretty bad this year. But I don't know. They're playing pretty well. And like, I guess my question is, do they deserve to be taken seriously? Like historically, Kyler Murray led teams, or maybe this was a Kingsbury thing, but like they faltered down the stretch. There's always
Kingsbury, Call of Duty. Nobody knows.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe it's both.
Have you guys play Black Ops? No,
I don't really play Call of Duty, to be honest.
I don't either.
If anyone wants to like play with me in Black Ops, like if I want to play Warzone, if anyone email me at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com. I'm not good, but I might get back into it. Email me and maybe we play.
Just makes me mad thinking about how much that you have time to play video games. But yeah, the Cardinals, they have won 4 out of 5 games. They're 5-4 in the division, on the year, first in the NFC West, 15th in DVOA, 11th on offense, 18th defense. Like these are pretty good numbers. I think maybe we're underestimating this team. And after this week, so they get the Jets this week. They have a bye. The rest of the season, it's at Seahawks. They got a really tough game against the Vikings in Minnesota. Then it's another game against the Seahawks, the Patriots, Panthers, Rams, 49ers. So they got some tough division matchups coming up, but I don't know, man. I guess I'm just like, maybe we should start taking the Cardinals a little more seriously. The reason, and then right when I say that, they'll probably lose to the Jets, but I don't know. I think they deserve some props because they've been playing pretty well. If
you look at their schedule, I think at the beginning of the season, it looked a lot easier than now it does looking back.
Mm-hmm.
They basically haven't played a bad team this year. They've played the Bills, the Rams, the Lions, the Commanders, the Niners, the Packers, the Chargers, the Dolphins with Tua back, and the Bears.
Damn, and they're 5-4.
And they're 5-4.
I mean, I think that's probably why their DVOA is pretty solid. They have a very young, like inexperienced defense, I think, but their offense could be really good. Like they just have some pieces, I think, that make them an interesting team down the stretch. Maybe we're underestimating them.
I think Arizona's run game is so good. Arizona's running the
James
ball.
Conner's been like
so
one
good.
of the best running backs in the whole league this year.
I think these offenses, Arizona and the Jets, are just total inverses of each other. The Jets are like this classical orchestra where Rodgers is like the tyrannical conductor and everything has to be exactly as he wants it and everyone has to be exactly where he wants it to be for the orchestra to work. And the Cardinals are just this jazz football team in the passing game where, frankly, Kyler is so much better to me when the play breaks down. I don't know who the NBA comp is, but like I think the Cardinals offense in structure is like fine because but I think it's so much like that play where Trey McBride play action on the goal line and then Trey McBride was like wide open the whole time and Kyler had a guy in his face and he just didn't throw it. And, look, it's a quarter of a second. He decided not to. You never know why he didn't pull trig. But it's hard not to think about the height in those situations where I'm like, did he fucking see that Trey McBride was uncovered? He's as open as possible. It's the only route on the play. There's no other read. It's like you just didn't see him. But when the play breaks down, Kyler is like literally like a 10 out of 10 as good as anyone in the history of the NFL when everything's going to shit and making it not go to shit. But he's jazz. He's like Miles Davis. But like there's something when everything's going right, there's almost like a ceiling on the offense, as weird as that is to say. Yeah. But anyway, next game, Titans-Chargers. This kind of sucks. I don't really want to watch Mason Rudolph when he's on the field. I mean, I think Herbert's awesome, but I don't know if you guys have
Levis might be back this week, which doesn't really help anything. I think the interesting thing about the Chargers are one of those, I think like the Cardinals, kind of a sneaky, maybe good team, maybe a team that could catch fire down the stretch, especially because it seems like over the last month or so, they've really started to trust Justin Herbert to actually play quarterback and do things. I saw this from Establish the Run. Over the last 4 weeks, the Chargers are second only to the Bengals in pass rate over expectation. So pass rate over expectation is essentially like based on situation where like, there's like a baseline of what you'd expect a team to do in any given situation. And they're passing more in those situations than the average team. So that's not what we expected at all, honestly, because, this is supposed to be like a super run heavy team, not really pass the ball that much. Herbert over last month, 286 passing yards per game. That's third most to Mayfield and Lamar. 105 passer rating, almost 9 yards per attempt, 5 touchdowns, no picks. So Herbert's really been balling out and they're passing a bunch, which I think totally changes the complexion of this team. Like it makes me much more excited to watch them, obviously, but I think that also makes them better.
Herbert is so stupidly good at football. And I think that we're underrating how quickly the Chargers could go from like pretty good this year to like really good next year because the core they have in place, Herbert, a quarterback, they have the 2 tackles. I think Lad McConkey's legit. I mean, that alone, that's a real team, man. Quentin Johnson.
They're building it the right way. It's like the Lions.
They're building it. Yes. And it's like they're building it. The Ravens are building it inside out. And I can't, I don't know if we don't talk about Herbert all the time. I think Herbert's the fucking truth, dude. Herbert is electric. We haven't talked about him as much this season because he's not as fantasy relevant. He just not MVP, but if you just looked at who's playing quarterback the best in the last like 5 weeks, Herbert's right there with like Lamar Jackson.
He's got 1 interception this year.
Herbert, he is like a supercomputer. And I can't, Herbert is unbelievable. Like his ability to deliver the football, to just make the decisions and it just make every read. He just always makes the right decision. He still has aggressiveness. Like, I don't know. I can't say enough about how good he's been. And this is a tangent. Maybe I'm old man yells at cloud. I am so infuriated when people talk about Herbert hasn't won a playoff game. Like, is that a red herring or I feel like people say that a lot, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
I fucking lose my mind over that because the game they lost to the Raiders where Brandon Staley didn't go for it in overtime is the best regular season football game I've ever seen in the fourth quarter of any quarterback ever.
He converted like 5 4th and 12.
Five
Dude, it was
in
insane.
3 minutes. He scored 21 points in like 5 minutes. He did a 4th and 9, 4th and 9, 4th and 10, 4th and 12,
just
4th
throwing
and 15.
Lasers.
It was literally like, I think maybe Peyton Manning in 2008 had a better, like it was if they won the game, they were in the playoffs. That's a playoff game. And it was the best fourth quarter I've ever seen. And they lost because Brandon Staley didn't know they were trying to have a fucking tie. Anyway. Whatever. Yeah. Sorry.
Did you see the quote that Harbaugh said that he hopes in a perfect world, Justin Herbert is the last quarterback he coaches?
Wow.
Oh, that's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that's totally, because how old's Harbaugh? Like 58?
Yeah. 60 maybe?
Yeah. 60. Yeah. Oh, yeah, he better be. 10 years? Yeah, I guess Harbaugh could live till 150. Craig, do you think you'll live longer than Jim Harbaugh?
What's the spread?
So you're 30, he's 60. I think
I'll give you 7
years.
Harbaugh's only +7. It'd be close. He
Well, it's
switched
weird
to
because
chicken.
he was an NFL athlete, which adds and detracts from your lifespan.
I think it's sadly, if you play football, it probably detracts, unfortunately. But he did switch to chicken, and I feel like he's living the LA lifestyle now. So that probably kind of counteracted that. So it's close.
Yeah, he might.
I'll have to see him at the local green juicery.
Yeah,
run into him. We'll have to talk diet.
Sunday Night Football
probiotics.
Sunday Night Football this week is the Lions are at the Texans. The Lions are 3.5-point favorites, which is another number where I was like, I know the Texans are home. A lot of respect on the Texans to keep it within a field goal and change of the Detroit Lions the way they're playing right now. Did that strike you as odd, Craig? That was 3.5.
Yeah, I've been like very dialed in on the Texans this year for fantasy reasons. I always like every year it's like you end up having a few guys on 3 teams, and it's like every week you make sure you watch like every single play. I think the Texans are pretty fraudulent offensively. Yeah. Especially, I mean, it's a lot because of the injuries. Diggs is out for the year and Nico Collins has been out for a while. But when
the offensive
Nico,
line's banged up too.
Yeah, he gets pressured like crazy. And with Nico Collins gone, especially when there was pressure, Stroud used to just chuck it up to Nico Collins and it worked. And he can't do that at all right now. His completion percentage is 10% worse without Nico Collins. And they can't move the ball on first down. So they always are stuck in these 3rd and longs. And then Stroud gets pressured and it doesn't work out. And even Detroit defensively has been awesome on 3rd down conversion rates. So I think this is going to be a tough game. Did you guys hear Sal on Bill talk about the Lions are 40-15 versus the spread in their last 55 games?
Wow.
That's 40-15.
Dude, they're so fucking good at football, dude. We almost don't talk about them enough about how good they are because, dude, first of all, they're still last 6 games. They still have more touchdowns than Jared Goff has incompletions, which is outrageous.
Also, we previewed last week them going into Green Bay in the rain outdoors with Goff, and we didn't really talk about how that didn't really matter at all. They look fucking awesome.
We talked about it on Sunday. Like they answered every question. Like this is my thing. It's like they're all narratives. Like Jared Goff with the baby hands. He outplayed Jared.
He played
Jordan
with 2
Love.
gloves.
And the outside. The other thing I have to say, we don't talk about this kind of stuff, but the Lions in Dan Campbell's first season as a team, they scored 32 touchdowns, which is basic as that is. We just don't cite that number a lot. Like the Lions scored 32 touchdowns his first season. I'm sorry, 35 touchdowns in Dan Campbell's first season. This year they have 32 already. Yeah. Like they could surpass their entire 2021 touchdown total on Sunday Night Football.
They're like too good for fantasy almost. Like they spread but they can do whatever they want in such a way that it almost, you can't predict who's going to even score. Goff throws for 86 yards and 4 touchdowns. It's like, doesn't make any sense.
And I don't even want to say what I'm not going to say what I'm thinking because I believe in jinxes and curses, but I just, I'm not even going to say what I'm thinking.
Jameson Williams is back.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun.
You don't believe in jinxes or curses, DK? I do.
I don't think I have any power over who.
Well, it's because you're a nihilist. I believe in some larger force of the universe. And I believe that if I say certain things like that.
I believe in coincidences.
Do you think there's an arrogance to that, Heifetz, where you're like, I believe that things that I say can affect the universe?
Am I arrogant? Is that your question?
It's very freeing when you realize nothing you do is like going to affect what the Giants do.
Well, that's
unless
not Heifetz would disagree.
That's not, dude.
I'm saying it's freeing.
Let me ask you something.
Heifetz ended Justin Tucker's career.
Let me ask you something. That game when we were at Bill's house, we never told the story of the show.
Yes, we have. We have.
Like
we did it on Bill's pod, or I guess maybe
that's not the show.
Whatever.
Like we were at Bill's house and we were watching Giants Ravens, and the Ravens had lined up for game-winning field goal with Justin Tucker. And I was like, I went up and I did my thing, which I didn't realize was psychotic at the time, and I made an X with my foot in front of the TV. And you guys looked at me like I was fucking nuts.
Yeah. Like it's like he's making an X in the sand with his foot. Yes. He does that.
And then you guys looked
he pranced up there too.
Everyone thought it was so weird.
Heifetz does kind of float.
Yeah.
Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Here's my thing though. When Justin Tucker missed the field goal, what was your first thought?
Heifetz got really lucky there.
I was like, wow, what a weird coincidence. Crazy.
Fuck off.
No, I started like looking around and being like, whoa.
The lights flickered. It was weird.
God? All right. Anything else?
I'm just saying, Heifetz, it's freeing. Just
you probably
let go.
Yeah, just let go, man. Nothing you say or do is going to affect the game that you're not physically present for.
No, I'm crazy superstitious. So
Dude, my mom stands by the second panel of the refrigerator when the Giants are on defense. And my entire childhood, the dog had to be outside on offense.
Oh my God.
And then I'm serious. Like,
does
the
she
dog
still
would be
do
outside
that?
on offense.
It's so
and then
funny.
I would on defense, I would like lean on my head on my left hand for like, but then on third downs, I'd shift it to the right and I would flip it. And
This is insane.
you don't have anything like this?
Mine is
I've
more,
heard about this stuff.
To be honest, mine is more spontaneous where like if I'm watching a game and I'm like sitting on the ground rather than the couch and they're doing well, I won't get up off the ground to sit on the couch. But I don't have any like weekly things I'll do.
Like if you're going well and someone wants to like gets up to get water and someone takes their seat, like you can't fucking switch seats if you're up 15. You know what I mean? You can't, if you're up 2 touchdowns, no one can trade seats. Everyone has to stay where they are. Dude, when the Giants played the Patriots, the season they won the Super Bowl, 2007, but they played them in the last, when the Patriots went 16-0, that game was against the Giants. And the Giants were winning in the fourth quarter. And my dad was in the basement and the Giants like got a touchdown. We made him fucking stay there for the rest of the first half because they had scored, they'd taken the lead when he was down there. And I only, as I'm saying this out loud now, do I realize how weird this all is. But
does your mom still do the fridge thing and the dog thing?
No, because the Giants have been so bad
I was gonna say,
for 8 years that like they haven't had any meaningful games to conjure up any juju. Like there's no, you can't just do it in week 4 when you're like 0-4. You know,
but there had to have been a period where she still had hope in the Giants after the 2 Super Bowls, and her superstitions were no longer paying off, and she eventually gave up.
Yes. And then I started doing this job as a professional, and then everything, all the purity and love died. So
I love that like the instinct just kicked in.
But is there a lifespan to superstitions? Like how do you explain that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. I wish I could.
Not a lot of logic in it, Craig.
I'm somewhere in between. As always, I'm somewhere in between you two. I think I land.
I do it as like a bit, like when we're hanging out with friends and like I'm watching a game, like the Seahawks game with like 5 people or whatever, for example.
Flex.
And yeah, because I've got so many friends, they're just back there laughing. I would like as a joke, like if they're losing at halftime, everyone will be like, "Okay, everybody, get up and move seats or whatever." Like switching things up, but it's like
it's not a bit.
Tongue in cheek. Yeah, it's not a bit. It's not real.
Email us at Ringer Fantasy Football. Fuck
we realize
email me.
We don't think that we're actually going to help the situation.
See, I do. Email me at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com.
Or
I think he's not going to read these. Email me at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com.
No, I'm actually interested.
If you have your weirdest superstitions that like I will believe. I understand it. The ones that you believe if you do stuff for the bit, sure, send those too. But I want the ones where it's like you're crazy people like me who are like, no, I affect the games. Of course I do. Also, just last one.
Yeah.
My mom met Harry Carson. Harry Carson was the middle linebacker for the Giants, 80s, 90s Parcells teams that won the 2 Super Bowls. And my mom got to meet him once and she was talking to him and he was telling about the coolest moment of his career was he was the captain of the Super Bowl and he went out, he's the only one. And the Broncos had like 5 captains and Harry Carson was the only captain of the team. And then she was like, oh yeah, that was a huge game when we won. And Harry Carson's like, we? She's like, yeah, we're part of the team. I mean, we're helping you out. And my mom tells Harry Carson all this crazy shit she does, like when she sits, when she stands, where she stands. And Harry Carson's like, do you really think this affects the game? And my mom's like, of course it does. Of course it does. You don't think so?
She's
Harry
like,
Carson
no
was
proof.
Like, what? Yeah, no proof.
Prove it.
No proof.
Prove it doesn't.
Anyway, Monday
No
Night
proof.
Football. Dolphins are at the Rams. McDaniel at McVay. If I told you one of these guys was going to be exposed at the end of this game, well, actually, it's a dumb question because it's definitely Mike McDaniel.
Right. I do think this is a fun game, though, because the Rams are heating up right now. And if they lose this one, I feel like my enthusiasm for the Rams is going to drop significantly.
This is preparing me for an all-time Jalen Waddle moment on Monday night because I will be starting him again. And I'm sure I'll be down like 13 points.
Why are you playing?
Do you have any Jalen Waddle superstitions? I feel like you're not doing enough superstition things with Jalen Waddle.
What should I do? What should
bench
I do?
Him. Then he'll play great.
When,
you should tell everyone to play him, and then you should bench him and that's your sacrifice.
No, I can't bench him. I got to play him.
Why not?
If he has a catch in the first quarter,
I don't.
Craig,
I don't want him to get the satisfaction of going off on my bench.
He doesn't know.
Yes, he does.
He doesn't fucking know.
You're arguing to me that the player doesn't know? Your whole fucking thing is that superstitions matter.
So, but this is superstition or is this pettiness?
It's both. Yes.
See, I'm
just like, I'm going to ride this out. I'm Irish. I'll live with this forever. I want to be there when he has an 80-yard touchdown. I'm going to fucking be there.
McVay versus McDaniel. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like rooting
Irish.
for a team that sucks so that you can enjoy it even more when they win. I will be there when Jalen Waddle has a good game.
I'll keep you out of the toilet bowl. Oh my God. Yeah. No. Yeah. Football's more fun when the Rams and Puka and Cooper Kupp and Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill are all like this. These are good offenses. So it's nice that these teams are relatively healthy.
Costanza.
Oh yeah, we got to figure that out.
I think the Costanza is the Cowboys Eagles because I think the thing we have to remember
I agree.
is it's not the one that
say
seems most obvious. It's the one that we're most passionate about is like we're right and everyone else is wrong. Because like when I look at the Eagles giving 7, I'm like the Eagles are going to win by 14. It never even occurred to me that Cooper Rush could beat the Philadelphia Eagles. So I think Cowboys money line or the Cowboys money line Cowboys spread is the Costanza.
I agree
because there's no way.
Yeah.
And it's different than like Mac Jones playing the Vikings. That doesn't qualify in the Costanza category. The Cowboys Eagles is the perfect Costanza.
Yeah.
Division game. Cowboys are playing like shit. Eagles are hot.
But also because I went on this podcast and was like, the spread 7 points is ridiculous. Which, yeah, watch them win the game.
If you look at the history of the Eagles versus the Cowboys, it's like very split over the last like few years.
Yeah, well, Dak Prescott used to play for them.
The Cowboys used to be good for the
that
record.
Was back when that was before Dak Prescott. His hamstring was on the bone.
But I think, like generally speaking, though, like especially in the NFC East, these teams just beat up on each other every single year. It feels like
20 years without a repeat champ's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's like the wildest stat.
It really is.
It's incredible.
Because last year it was the Cowboys, right? Or was it? Yeah, it was the Cowboys. Is that right? Not.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember.
I think Cowboys won 12 games last year.
Yeah, because and then the Eagles got rocked in the wild card round. Because the Eagles
I'm fact checking you right now. Yeah, it was the
Cowboys.
Eagles, they had 12-5. Eagles were 11-6.
Yeah,
maybe a good sporkle for Giants or NFC's fans. Can you do the last 20?
Who won in 2022, guys?
Heifetz, do you think you could do that right now?
We could try.
Should we try?
What are we trying?
Is that good content?
Let's
have some emails. It's up to you.
Can Heifetz do the last 20 NFC East division winners?
Okay.
He'll make it like 4.
Let's try it. Yeah. If it sucks, we'll cut it.
Okay, so 2023.
Wait,
last year Cowboys won.
I got it in front of me.
Hold on, you have it up? Okay. Send it to me. I want to see too.
Oh, hold on. I was just looking at the standings on ESPN. And I was going to toggle between each year. NFC but I think you could probably Google NFC East winners.
Division winners. Hold on, I'm pulling it up.
All right.
Okay, I got it.
Same.
Cowboys won last year. It'd be really funny if that was wrong.
Yeah,
that was right. Yep.
Eagles won in 20. Last year was 2023. Yeah, Eagles won in 2022. We had the Super Bowl.
2021.
In 2021,
this is going to be really fucking hard.
My post-pandemic memory is really hard.
I can hardly remember anything that happened like 1 year ago.
Giants have not won it forever. And Washington won the year. So I think 2021 is the Cowboys again.
Correct.
And then 2020 was that the year the Eagles traded Wentz? No, it was 2021. It was a disaster. Did Washington win in 2020?
Yes, they did.
They 4-way tie. Yeah, because they started 2-6, 2-7. Yeah, and then they won 7 straight.
Was that Heineke? Who was the quarterback?
Yeah, Heineke, and then they played the Buck because they were the home team because Taylor Heineke. Remember the Washington hosted the Buccaneers in the playoffs, even though they had a worse record. And then Heineke like almost beat Tom Brady and like dove in at the goal line, and then Tom Brady won the Super Bowl anyway. 2019 would be it's not the fucking Giants, and it's not Washington. So then 2019. That was the year after the Eagles won the Super Bowl. So it's the Cowboys in 2019.
No, it's Philly.
No, Eagles.
No, it's Eagles, Cowboys, Eagles.
Yep.
Eagles, Cowboys, Eagles. And then what year is it now?
2016.
That was last year the Giants made the playoffs. Giants?
Nope. No.
Fuck. All right.
When was last year the Giants won the NFC East?
2000. Oh, God. Is it 2011?
Yeah. Pretty good job, dude.
Really good.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I'm impressed.
I couldn't tell you what I had for breakfast this morning.
I can't tell you who won the NFC West last year. I'm pretty sure it was the 49ers. But.
The hardest part of that for me was when you guys asked, I had to start with like, where was I living at that time? But post-pandemic, I was like, God, what year was this? I was like,
dude, that was pretty impressive.
The 20, I feel like I remember the 2010s better.
Nice work.
Do we keep going or you want to do emails?
I think that's enough.
Yeah,
that's enough. All right. we did the song game. I can't recommend enough. If you didn't listen to Power Hour the Wednesday this week, throw on the final 20 minutes of that. We played a game where DK and Craig guess songs in 1 second. You had 1 second to guess a song. It's really fun.
Did we
it's
do
on
good
YouTube.
or poorly? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it was also might have been terrible content. We're not sure. But YouTube, Ringer NFL, and we played the song game there.
Most of the songs, I feel like.
So
I don't know.
One, we've made the Spotify playlist. So if you want it, email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com. I'll send you the playlist. And if you emailed us in the past for the Crescendo playlist and didn't get to you, my bad. I promise. I'm making a promise. I will email back every single person who wants this playlist. Put the playlist in the title on the email. Email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com. And I will send you the playlist on Spotify that we made for the 1
and
second
a fun
songs.
fact about himself. He'll add.
Yeah, I'll tell you what year the Giants last won the
and
NFC
a sweet little note.
Anyway, so a lot of people emailed us back and they wanted us to know. So first of all, a lot of people from Atlanta were very mad because DK.
I know.
I
fucked this up. I apologize.
I clocked this in the moment, but
I was surprised neither of you guys corrected me because I said it.
So explain.
When I said it, I winced internally extremely hard. For the record,
is that how you say it in your head?
Right. No, it was like I just like
tell people
I did
how
a
you're talking
Heifetz.
about.
I like read it in my head incorrectly, even though like once you say it like the correct way, you're like, oh, that makes like.
Tell people what you're talking about.
Oh,
I called it ATLiens, the song or whatever, instead of ATLiens.
I can't tell you how mad this made people. I won't read all the emails, but I'm gonna I'll just.
Well, look, I'm sorry.
Someone said they were shaking with rage.
We speak for 6 hours a week on mic. We are bound.
It's not even that. It's pronouncing an acronym. That's ridiculous. You know what I mean? How often? What's your hit rate on pronouncing acronyms?
Dude, first of all, I was trying to do it really fast, and I forgot the fucking name of the band. Like, I fucked it up. All right, I couldn't remember the name. Outcast.
There are acronyms that people say instead of list off.
My impression, my thought, like after I said this, I was like, I definitely did that wrong. Was do you know the song? Still DRE,
yeah,
where it's
Dre.
like still, and I'm like, I still say it like still Dre, and I'm not sure how you're actually supposed to say it.
You can just say
like,
still Dre.
Dude, one of my friends, shout out, throwing my friend Jackson under the bus.
That one up.
Just throwing my friend Jackson under the bus. He thought it was Dr. Dre until like 2 years ago.
Fuck.
28 years old. He realized it was not
How
Dr.
is it possible?
Dre.
Dr. Dre says his name all the time.
I know. But he's really white and likes country music. But like, regardless.
But he says it, I guess if he's never listened to him. But
he found out like during the Super Bowl.
That's funny. I love
when
that
they
someone said they were
him?
shaking with rage.
Yeah, like he came out. Like, it's like I thought with Dr. Dre.
I just like have realized over the last like year that like I fuck up as as many or more things than Heifetz does.
Dude,
but
so do I. I feel like we all do. We're human. You know what I mean?
Heifetz was calling it M-bop for the last year.
That one I'm like pronouncing is like the least of my concerns. I actually just went I was on shameless plug.
Heifetz is just fucking not going to apologize for that one.
No, I
think
refuse to.
Mbop is hard because it's unnatural to like. It's like hum
literally
in the
not a
middle of
word.
Yeah, but it's like the whole song though.
Whatever. The whole point was I didn't know the song.
I know.
I didn't know about the song. That was the whole argument.
Bop.
I do agree. It's hard to say like off the cuff.
Yeah, it's like I have to pause and think about it. You know what I mean?
Okay, so can you guys give me the official good way of saying the word that I mispronounced? ATLiens.
Yeah, ATLiens.
I want.
Or do you like throw a little A in AT?
I throw a little A in there.
Yeah,
you
did. Yeah.
But
wait. What do you mean throwing an A?
Like rather than ATLiens, I say ATLiens.
Aliens
instead of L. Phonetically, it's like the E sound, but I kind of throw in the A
to
make the word aliens work.
I don't say it out loud that much, but yeah,
I'm always saying it out loud.
Okay.
Shaking with rage. I'm sorry. All right.
Oh.
I knew in the moment that I fucked it up. And then you guys didn't correct me.
Well, because we were like, the game was moving so fast.
You know my thoughts? You know my takeaway from this whole thing is you guys can dish out the mispronunciation shit, but you can't take it. I think that's my takeaway.
The difference is, and I've explained this
inside.
before, Heifetz, I don't get indignant when I get something wrong. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I did it wrong.
Depends.
You like try and brainwash us into believing you're right.
The words I got wrong are not English. Like they're of other languages and origin.
You're currently doing it again.
Maestro is
instead of just
Italian,
saying, yeah,
Spanish.
I said it wrong. Sorry.
Yeah, aren't you not accepting it? You're like, I can take it. Aren't you not taking it currently right now? You're still arguing it.
Well,
he'll go to his fucking grave.
You're literally doing the opposite of what you just
it.
said you're doing.
What did you ask earlier? Was I arrogant? forget what the question was. We got another email here. I think this was from Jessica. And
Jessica.
Jess.
Multiple people sent
It's
us
Jess.
this. Wait, another person sent us this. I want to say both people because I couldn't believe multiple people emailed us this.
Let's guess. I'm going to go with
also
Josh.
Brandon.
Damn it.
Exploding Whale Day. They're exploding
yeah.
Whale Day, the thing that DK mentioned earlier this week about whales exploding on a beach in Oregon. This we talked about on Sunday. On Tuesday, it became Wednesday, it became a holiday in Oregon.
Wow.
They
Just
announced
this
November
Wednesday?
6th is Exploding Whale Day. They named it a holiday.
Weird.
Which again, every now and then I kind of think we're in a simulation when we're just like, wow.
Do they get together for like a ceremonial whale explosion on the beach or something?
Yeah, and they blow it up.
Dude,
They
that
blow
was
up a
awesome.
whale every year?
It's like Burning Man.
Dude, that'd be awesome.
Blowing up. Dude, there's
Hey,
also a
somebody-
minor league baseball team in Oregon, and they're called the Exploding Whales.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome. Somebody sent me a tweet that said the exploding whale, like huge chunks of the whale, like landed on a car like a mile away and like smashed the car.
Yeah.
What a disaster.
What
I
did they
love
think was
that.
going to happen?
Yeah, my buddy who lives in Eugene, Oregon, it like goes to those like minor league whale games.
That's awesome. The exploding whales.
Yeah.
Last
They're
one
I
here.
believe they're the Eugene Emeralds,
Oh,
but their alternate name is the Exploding Whales. I think.
alternate name.
Yeah.
Should
I
we
feel
have
like
alternate
minor
names to
league
the other teams?
baseball is where the best ideas
That's where they're
thrive.
really spitballing.
That's where creativity is really like at its apex.
Yeah, that
right
is
now.
It's
like-
like college football scheme where or high school football where you come up with ideas not because you want to, but out of pure necessity. And it's like, how do we get people to go to a AA baseball game? And they're like, we'll have the mascots
necessity
fight.
is the mother of
trash
invention.
pandas and exploding whales
Yeah.
facing off on a Tuesday.
That's gotta be. I've thought this for a while. Like the events coordinator or whatever you want to call. I don't know what their official title is for a minor league baseball game. That's gonna be the hardest job in the world. You got to come up with a new thing to like get people to come to this minor league game.
Email us at
every day
ringerfantasyfootball
Portland
for the
Pickles.
entire summer.
Email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com if you work or have worked for a minor league baseball team. Tell us the ideas you pitched.
Yeah,
that got
like
shot down.
the best promotions that you do, because I want to try and that would be fun to take a tour someday to like do some of these things.
Remember we did
Things
that
you
thing about
did,
the
things that
Portland
didn't
Pickles?
work.
Yeah.
And I
Didn't
remember
your
when
buddy
I-
wasn't he the pickle?
my
Well,
buddy
he was the pickle
pickle.
for the pickle
Yeah.
team, right?
Yeah.
Wait, so what was that team
He
again?
was the
Who's the pickle
pickle.
team?
The Portland Pickles they're like a college summer baseball team. And
I want to say like John Ryan, the former Seahawks punter, is like a minority owner in that.
And my buddy like ran the social media for the team for a summer. And then like randomly there was a day where the pickle guy was out. And so he wore the pickle costume.
Next man up.
Yeah, next man up.
Yeah, John
He was the
Ryan is one
Portland
of the
Pickle.
owners of the Pickles.
Portland Pickles.
Classic.
That's incredible.
They got to
All right.
do a Pickle Rick collab.
Pickle Rick. You guys didn't even watch Rick and Morty, dude. Oh, Pickle Rick's the greatest. Silence.
I'm terrified
We'll
to
get
say
out of
the
here.
I
name.
actually have seen that. I've seen it like maybe a handful of episodes of Rick and Morty. And I've seen the Pickle Rick episode.
I love Rick
Yeah,
and
I've
Morty.
seen exactly one episode of Rick and Morty, and it was wild.
Was it Pickle Rick?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Okay.
Rick and Morty's a
Something
good
to do
show
with time
because if
travel,
you
I
watch
think? I
one
don't know.
episode and then don't want to watch more, then you know you don't need to watch multi. Like if you see, it's either for you or not.
It wasn't for me.
All right. Thank you, DK. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Carlos and Kai, for producing this episode. Thank you, Troy. Thank you, Austin. Thank you, everyone, for additional help. Thank you for emailing us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com for what do we got? Nicknames for Mike Williams and George Pickens. We need minor league baseball team ideas that either worked or pitched and didn't get done. And was there another one? Also, fantasy courts. Email us your fantasy courts. Emails trivia questions. We'll take trivia questions about any of this stuff.
We're getting a lot of 1 second song emails, which
Yes.
Nice.
we're gonna run it back in some fashion with a collection of the two of us. We could do the three of us and have like Kai run it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, we
Would
could do
be
that
fun?
too. I mean, we could barely handle two people yelling. I don't know how we'd handle three. Also,
No.
I'm louder than you guys. So we'll have to
I
figure
like the
that
two
out.
thing. I think we should alternate and everyone just be a
Make a
judge at different
bracket?
times. Yeah.
Yeah. And email us and I'll send you, I will email you the playlist. Thank you, Lord.
Lord.
Thank you, Pixies.
I don't know anything about them.
I don't really
You-
either. I know the
You would
Pixies-
recognize their most famous song, I would say, is the "Where Is My Mind" from. It was like in the closing part of Fight Club.
Oh, yeah. Dun,
You'd
dun,
recognize
Oh,
it.
like the
dun,
final
dun,
song?
Where is my mind? Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh.
it's got a very, very like recognizable sort of like hook or riff or whatever.
When
you
everything's like burning down.
want. Yeah.
Very few movies have aged as well as Fight Club.
Didn't they? Didn't the critics not like it? I saw something
I
the
just
other
read
day
that this
about
week. Yeah, that
Yeah.
the people in the I don't know Venice Film Festival, Cannes. I don't know where the hell they played it, and then everyone was like not happy with it, and Brad Pitt turns to Edward Norton and was like, "That's the best movie I'll ever be in."
Yeah. I listened to the Fight Club rewatchables that you guys did a few years ago, Craig, and I was like, damn, it just like changed my whole perspective because all the context around the movie was so interesting.
Totally. Like the whole counterculture movement of the 90s culminating with that movie.
Chuck Palahniuk, the author of the book, I believe he's from Seattle.
Oh.
That seems like a movie that from ideas people form in Seattle.
I know. Let's see here. Trying to make sure he's from Seattle. He went to the University of Oregon. He's from Pasco. So he's from Washington.
He's a duck.
Yeah.
Is he a pickle? Did he play?
The movie Choke. Did you ever see the movie Choke?
No.
With what was his name? He's a Sam Rockwell.
Mm-mm.
That's a pretty good movie too. It wasn't
his brother
well
in the Stars Born?
Who? Sam Rockwell?
Yeah.
Is his brother in Stars Born?
Oh fuck. Oh no, I'm totally wrong.
Well, Sam Rockwell is a pretty famous actor.
Ignore
anyway,
me.
This movie Choke is about this guy who like goes to restaurants and pretends to choke and has people save his life.
What? Is it a comedy?
I think it's like a dark comedy kind of. It's black comedy.
Heifetz, you're thinking of Sam Elliott?
Yeah, I know. I got confused.
How are they related in any way?
Just Sam.
But why would they be brothers? Because they have the same first name?
No, he's the brother. Never mind. He's the brother in A Star Is Born.
Oh, I thought you were saying Sam Rockwell's brother was in A Star Is Born.
I want to know more about there's a movie about a guy who chokes.
Yeah. He this is what it says on the movie thing. It intentionally chokes on food in upscale restaurants so his rescuers give him money out of sympathy. It's another Chuck Palahniuk book, basically, is the way I got here. He wrote that, Fight Club, and a bunch of other books. But
dude, the poster's awesome. It's like a silhouette of a guy's face choking on a woman's body.
Yeah. It's a good movie. I thought it was good. I haven't watched it in a long time, but I thought it was good when I watched it. Check it out. Love Sam Rockwell. Sam Rockwell's a funny actor.
Yeah, I like Sam Rockwell. That was Content Corner. We'll be back next week with an episode of Last Take with the owner of the Bears.
McCaskey, baby. Come on, Virginia. All right, goodbye, everyone.